Hello and welcome to video on Sipoc. Sipoc is a high-level management tool that simplifies the all relevant elements of process improvement project. It is useful for focusing the discussion and helping team members agree upon a common language and understanding the process. The acronym Sipoc stands for suppliers, inputs, processes, outputs, and customers. Now here supplier is provider of inputs to a process. This can be a person, organization, IT systems, and so on. Here the information related to upstream processes are also captured. Inputs are materials, information, and other resources needed to complete a process. This can come in a digital form or hard copies or verbal instructions and so on. Process contains detailed information about the structured steps used to convert inputs into outputs. Outputs are products or services resulting from the process. And finally, customers are recipients of output. It can be a person, organization, or IT systems and so on. Here the information about downstream processes are captured. We will discuss more about this shortly when we are discussing the template. Now the Sipoc is often presented at the outset of the process improvement projects like Kaizen events or during the define or major phase of the DMAC processes in Six Sigma. It has three typical uses depending on the audience. The first one is to give high-level overview of a processes to people who are unfamiliar with it. Second is like to reacquaint the people whose familiarity with the process has faded or become out of date due to process changes. And finally, to help people in defining a new processes. Now, you might be wondering why I am talking about this concept when we are discussing about auditing Excel file. The reason is that we can apply this model around spreadsheet preparation and maintenance as well. It can become a framework for documenting the information related to your critical spreadsheets. I am providing a Sipoc template as part of a resource for this video. You can use this template to document the information related to your critical spreadsheet used in the processes. So let us quickly look at the Sipoc template and see how we can use it. So this is the template for Sipoc which I have provided you as part of this resource. Under this first tab, we should document information related to process. We can insert unique process reference ID, process name, process owner information, business division, and so on. You can also briefly provide the summary of the processes under executive summary, its key objectives, and critical assumptions used. Further, you can also add or delete any other information buckets which are currently present in this particular tab. So this is an editable template which you can customize as per your requirements. Then moving on to the next tab. Here we have each of the items from Sipoc in separate columns. Now starting with suppliers, you should put the mode through which information is received. For example, email, fax, download from website, auto feed between the systems, and so on. You should also mention the person or organization or IT system providing this information. Then under input column, you should mention what information or material is received from supplier. Maybe you can also list the key fields or information that should be present in the dataset which you are receiving. Then you should document after the receipt of this information where exactly it is stored, like whether it is on shared drive, SharePoint, local PC, and so on. You should also ensure that the required person only have access to this data. If there are multiple items are received, you can classify them into confidential, highly confidential, non-public information, and so on. This classification will help you decide who should have access to this particular dataset. Now moving on to process. Here all the steps that needs to be performed on the inputs so that it generates the output as targeted is documented. You can also create a process flow diagram using tools like MSVGO. This process flow diagram can be really helpful for easy understanding. This should also contain person who is responsible for which task in the processes. It can also document the risk and controls in the particular process. It will also have details about segregation of duties maintained by having maker or checker a control in place. You should also have a standard operating procedure if the process is really complex. Instead of documenting a screenshots in the standard operating procedure, you should create a video which can be recorded while performing these steps involved. In my opinion, recorded video is more easy to understand and remember so that we can re-perform the steps involved in the process. Then under output, you should mention what final result is expected on correct performance of all the steps mentioned in the process. You should also look at the timelines or deadlines when that particular output should be ready for submission. Similar to input, you should also look at the storage, retention and destruction of output. Also, access controls with regards to the output should also be checked. And finally, you need to provide the information about who is going to receive the output. It can be a person, organization or IT systems. The mode of sending and sharing this information with customer should also be documented. Now these are certain standard fields which I have already documented here. If you require, you can customize this template as well. So let us say if you want to document anything, you can type other items and give a serial number. Automatically this formatting will get applied to it. So whenever you have all this information related to the spreadsheet being documented and used, it will serve as a design control for your spreadsheet. It will definitely help auditors or reviewers or a new person to understand the most important aspects about your spreadsheets and also related to the entire process. So that is it from my side, guys. I hope you find this model useful and you plan to implement this in your work immediately. So that's it from my side, guys. See you in next video.